Guest is back. It's Kamish, back here with Week 4 game previews. I think it just keeps getting better and better and better as each week rolls around. And looking at the matchups, you saw them there. Let's get into it. First one there, Milan in the 6, straight out of Toronto, 2-1. He always told me I'm underestimating him. I'm starting to think I am. He takes on Ron and Steel Curtain. All I gotta say though, Milan, you're still in 9th, so still not in a playoff spot at this point. For Ron, you just gotta keep grinding. The wins will come. When you enter the LOC, you gotta be in for the long haul. You're gonna take over a team that didn't finish well, but it's a rebuilding thing, and if you can rebuild it quickly, you can be a contender in this league for years to come, no doubt. Next game, you got Mike in the CDC taking on Luke and Too Good for a Name. Both teams getting big wins last week. For Luke, Le'Veon Bell finally comes to fold for you. Will he pretty much be the savior for you? I mean, if you think about it, the trade we made with Ezekiel Elliott's been decent, but DeAndre Williams put up, I think, a couple of 40-point efforts. So obviously Bell's going to put that kind of production up. That's going to be really good for you. For Mike, you've had some really good running back depth this year. I think that's been definitely a strength for your team this year. The big problems though are at tight end. I tried to make you that offer for Jimmy Graham. Deuce Bombers makes the trade, and right now it's looking like Deuce Bombers won that trade. So, big problems at tight end. You can't ignore any position. Next one on the thing there, it's Danny and alright versus Lucas and Green Lightning. For Lucas, I think he's got the perfect antidote for a loss here, and that's playing Danny and alright. He looks like the worst team in the league, in my opinion. But saying that, I think Andy Dalton will have a big game for him this week. I just have this feeling, and that one could be an upset. You never know. The next one, we got George and Pack Attack taking on Robert and Templars. This is an East Division battle. Obviously, two teams that have a history against one another. In 2014, Pack Attack won the first ever LOC, and he was also 2-0 over Templars during the course of the season in a strange one where they played twice. And then in 2015, it was Templars' time to shine as he won the East Division and dominated Pack Attack last year. So this is a game of a team of two tales. I think the East Division has shifted to Robert and Templars, whereas George obviously was the first ever champion, definitely in a rebuilding year, and I think will be fighting for survival at the end. The next game, you got the Commission Stars taking on Brandon and Chronic Deflator. The South Division battle, for the Commish, I've taken over the number 1 seed, but sometimes the number 1 seed's a bad spot to have. But right now my lineup's at a point where if I suffer any more injuries, I'm going to be in trouble. For Brandon, I think he started seeing his season was starting to deflate. I mean, Falcon Power was his third place, or was it third or fourth place finisher from last year. So maybe that's why he made the blockbuster trade he made this week with Kai Phoenix. It'll be interesting to see who wins that trade as the season goes along. Next up, we got Ryan and Deuce Bombers versus Suze and Fighting Geese. Huge West Division battle here. Obviously, Deuce Bombers was in the league last year. He was 13-1, and part of those wins, one of them was against Fighting Geese. The storylines for both these teams, you got to look at it. For Susie, is it Dak Prescott, the hero? Big trade getting him. And then for Deuce Bombers, it's the opposite at quarterback. Does he even have a starter this week? Is it going to be Jacoby Brissett, Jay Cutler? Who knows? And that should be interesting to watch. Next up, we got Chris and True North versus Gwevin and Monsters in the Midway. Just to kind of show you how evil fantasy football can be, Chris and True North is the third highest scoring team, but yet he's sitting at 1 and 2. He dropped a shocking 8 spots this week. And then for week 4, is Jimmy G the answer? I mean, we don't know. Traded Case Keenum, and now he has Jimmy G, who could be hurt, and obviously Aaron Rodgers on the bye. And then Monsters of the Midway, I still look at his lineup. It still looks like a nice, balanced lineup, and I think he's still going to be a contender, and obviously in that really good West Division. So interesting to watch. Next one, we got Brian in the 12th man taking on Sean and Haha Dix. For Sean, high expectations for you this year. The commish had high expectations for you. You've always been a mediocre team so far, but yet the trend continues. You've looked mediocre. You're 15th in the league in points scored. And then this week, it's a tough bye week for you. Obviously, being an Eagles fan, you're losing some key players. And who's on the schedule? No more than last year's champion, Brian in the 12th man, who still has that elusive dynamic duo at wide receiver with AJ Green and Julio Jones. I mean, 2 top 3 receivers alone right there. That's going to help. And then for Brian, what a pick getting that Vikings defense. Are you kidding me? What a year they're having so far, and Monday night in the new stadium should be interesting to watch in that one. And then in this week's Stinker of the Week, that's right, Steven, you're still here. It's the 4th straight stinker for Steven in US1. This time his opponent is Mark and LOC Commander. Why? You have to ask yourself, okay, Commish, why are you picking on Steven? It's not like I'm picking on him. Look at the lineup decision last week. He decided to go with Fitzpatrick over Bortles. And, of course, Fitzpatrick throws 6 interceptions. So, that's led to, obviously, Steven having the worst point production all week with 148.76. That's why he continues to be here at the Stinker of the Week. But then you got to look at Mark. I mean, he's in 18th. He's right now in a bottom 3, fall down to tier 2 position. But I look at it for Mark, he did get better this week with the injury to Langford. He's got Howard at running back, which helps with the Arian Foster injury. So, this one's going to be interesting to watch. Again, Steven, to get off this Stinker of the Week, you got to get some W's, and it should be interesting to see how this one plays out. Next one, we got the Game of the Week. It's Joshua and Cry Phoenix taking on Krista and Storm. Joshua, one of the only other teams that's undefeated. He'll get another test here against another original owner in Krista. He took out True North last week, an original owner. So Joshua announcing his presence. Of course, he was the best LOC qualifier coming in. He just made that blockbuster trade with Chronic Deflator. I think looking at it, Cry Phoenix gets the better of this trade, in my opinion. You got Des Bryant, an all-star receiver, and then he gets a starting running back to come across the board, and he also got a better draft pick to come over the board. So, Will Fuller is still, there's no jury out on him yet. So, Delaney Walker, of course, is pretty good, but to get Des, that's huge. Game power. And then you got to look at Joshua's team. I mean, he's 3-0. We've heard a lot in fantasy about the 0 running back strategy. He has that going on right now, pretty much. He's got no tight ends, but his wide receivers are deep. They're probably the deepest in the league. So, is that strategy the way to go? That's an interesting one to follow here. And then, you look at it for this week, the matchup, what the committee sees, that's going to be fun to watch. Joshua has the Jets defense, whereas Krista has Russell Wilson. So obviously they'll play each other. Russell Wilson, bum ankle. It is in New York too. So that should be interesting to watch. And, looking at Krista, there's concerns at tight end for her team. And then there has to be, even though she's 2-1 and leads the North Division right now, there has to be some concern with that low point total right now, ranking 16th in the league in points scored. That tells me, yes, you got a lot of better matchups, but, eventually you got to produce those points as well to get the W's late in the season. Anyways, that's week 4 previews, guys. I hope you're as excited as I am to see how it all turns out. And as always, have a good season.